Hi Flosstube, Julia here, otherwise known as Julicious on Instagram and, well, yeah, here as well. Welcome back. This is sort of my Stitch Mania wrap-up video and just kind of a brain dump, if you will. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to check me out. If you are returning, thank you so much for choosing to keep coming back and spending time with me. And my computer is reflecting on my glasses, and if that is annoying you, I apologize. It's kind of annoying me too. I wonder if I can... No. I think we're just gonna have to cope. It is Friday, May the 29th. So May is winding down, and what a month it's been. So I'm in nursing school, as many of you know. And my school is closed for the summer semester, so I'm not taking nursing classes until at least September. So right now I am just taking one statistics course because it's a prerequisite for a bachelor's in nursing. I'm currently working towards an associate's degree in nursing, with the intention of doing a RN to BSN program once I have a job in the field. That's neither here nor there. The point is, a prerequisite for a bachelor's degree, one of them is statistics. So I'm just kind of getting that out of the way here at the beginning of the summer, and then just sort of practicing nursey basics until hopefully the fall semester starts. So I found myself with a lot more crafty, creative time on my hands than I had initially, when the year started, anticipated having. And so while I didn't really do the Stitch Mania thing, in that I didn't start all the things, I definitely got a lot of things accomplished and finished. And I'd like to talk about that because I've got a lot of stuff in the works in my brain, because I thought, well, you know, why can't I take on more creative projects even though I'm in nursing school? Why can't I think about starting writing again even though I'm in nursing school? Why can't I think about maybe designing my own knitting patterns, which is something I've been thinking about for a while and just haven't said anything because I'm self-conscious? Why can't I start doing all the creative things even though I've got this great big black bubble of nursing school over my head? Why not? Exactly, why not? So, I guess in that sense, Stitch Mania was very manic for me, internally. So I'm not going to be talking about the writing. I'm not going to be talking about the designing until I actually have something to show you. And I don't know when that's going to be. On one hand, never done this before. On the other hand, I'm just type A enough that I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. So obsessing and nitpicking and being an absolute perfectionist. Not always a great combination when you're just trying to be creative, but okay, almost 5 minutes in. Should I show you something? Why don't I show you something? Because I actually have like a list of things I wanted to talk to you about. Like, this is a list of things, and this is notes I took on Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail, which is surprisingly apt. No, it's not surprisingly apt. It's always been apt. Go look it up. Letter from Birmingham gels better than the I Have a Dream speech. I will fight you on that one. Or at least I will argue strongly with you on that one. Anyway. What was my main goal for Stitch Mania, actually Stitch Sania this year? It was to finish QS Ladybug, which is the first Heaven and Earth design I ever started. It is not full coverage, and I finished it. I did finish it. I finished it a couple of weeks ago, actually. So this is stitched on 25 count Lugana, 2/1/10 stitch. I used Anchor Black floss because Anchor Black is the best black. I will fight you on that too. And this fabric is from Jodari Designs. It is a limited edition, unfortunately, from 2017, I think. I think so. The colorway is called Elven Wood. It's interesting. I have some cotton floss dyed in that colorway as well, and it's a lot darker. Obviously, Lugana takes the dye soft in a kind of softer, more blurry way than other fabrics. But this is it. It is done. And it felt so good to get this done. So good. Yeah. Do you like it? If you really like it, well, if you really like it and you don't follow Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy, maybe you should. Just saying. Little teaser. So that got finished. Another thing I finished, this is an FFO. Do you remember Holy Night, which I stitched for a friend of Abby's over at Abby Bella Stitch, who is organizing a bunch of Christmas/winter themed smalls to be sent to a friend of hers for her 74th birthday this year. And I decided to get mine out of the way because I wanted to do it and I wanted to participate, but I didn't know how much time I was going to have as we got closer to the deadline. And so I thought, well, I'll just do it now and get it done. What I decided to do, and Lindy Stitches planted the seed, and then friend, I can't remember your name, but you commented on like 2 videos ago saying, hey, why don't we finish it this way? The way Steph over at Lindy Stitches did it. And I was like, yes, I will. So I finished it as a roll. So it's got a piece of schmutz on it. There, gone. Okay, so like this, I put this fabric that I got from 123 on the back. I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I think it does. This button. I went on Etsy and got some sari silk ribbon. And I think it's gonna, I think it turned out pretty well for someone who's not a sewer. So when this isn't being displayed, it can just be rolled up this way. And then just stored like that. Pretty handy. I might do this with some, I might finish some of my own personal, like more seasonal designs this way. I think it, anyway, yeah, so now that I've shown you this, I can pop it in the mail to Abby. And check that off my to-do list. Okay, what else? I finished, we're going to go in no particular order here. I finished, now I'll just show you stitching. We'll talk about knitting later. I finished a couple of days ago, I finished the stitching on Strutting Tom. And I love him so much. So shortly within the next week or two, I'm hoping to fully finish him. I have the kit, as I said. Once I'm done with that, I am willing to pass the stash, but it obviously will not include the fabric. It will not include most of it. Okay, so it might include this orange, because I think, especially if you stitch it on the equivalent of like a 32 or a 36, you'll have enough orange. You're not going to have enough of the other two specialty threads that are mostly in his body to do that again. But I can include those if you want to have like a color reference, if you want to convert or not use the DMC conversion. Anyway, I love him. I love him so much, and I can't wait to fully finish him. And then probably buy her other turkey patterns and stitch those and put an obnoxious vegan saying below them instead of Mr. Delicious and Mrs. Delicious, because I am like that. Yeah, Strutting Tom, loved him. I can't with how adorable he is. Okay, what else? A couple of whips. Well, one whip, and I did decide to actually start something. I only got a little bit of a start on it. Because I was worried about going overboard. I think I have a lot of things that I would like to start, and I'm kind of worried about just starting all the things and having absolutely no self-control, because there are other things I really need to work on. Anyway, I started my second Lindy Stitches pattern. I love this one. It is the only patriotic piece that has ever spoken to me. It is likely the only patriotic piece that will ever speak to me and that I will ever stitch, because I just don't love America as much as a lot of you do. And I'm not apologizing for that. But I'm stitching Lindy Stitches, A Stitch for Sweet Freedom. This was my like Lindy Stitches Stitch-sania start. There's a hashtag. If you started one of her projects during Stitch Mania, you get entered into a drawing for an Etsy gift card. And I thought, oh, well, why not? I wanted to stitch this anyway. And Strutting Tom didn't count because technically I started him in April. I love this. One day, with liberty and justice for all, we hope one day. So I'm stitching this on the called for color of fabric, not the called for count. It's stitched on a 32. I'm stitching it on a 36. I had just enough of sterling from Picture This Plus left over from my Guardians of Notre Dame project to fit this on. I'm using most of the called for colors. I could not find the color that the words are stitched in, but that's okay. Also, those of you who are working on this, does her shirt look like it's stitched in a variegated floss to you? Because it does to me. But it's charted in solid DMC. The red in the flag is charted in Cherry Cobbler by Gentle Arts, or Classic Colorworks, one of those. And I feel like I'm either high or I need to be. because what's charted doesn't really match the model. I'm not mad at it, I'm just confused and wondering if I'm hallucinating or need to take a hallucinogen. But either way, excited about this one. It might be a tad big for the fabric, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to try and frame it myself. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Oh, you probably want to see what I did. I got just the barest of starts. I took, so the center is like right here where the flag's kind of folded over her hand. So I just took one strand of I just stitched one length of cherry cobbler. Just to say I got an actual official start. So stitching that in hand because it's a little small for any of the frames I have. Okay, got that other whip. I started foolishly this lovely pattern called Berries in a Basket by an Australian stitcher. I can't remember her name. I will put her details in the description box. You can buy it as a PDF on her Etsy shop. Essentially, it is a basket of strawberries with two birds. I chose to stitch the cardinals sitting on the handle. I bought that thinking, oh, that's little. I'll be able to stitch that for Mother's Day this year for my Nana. No problem. Looks can be deceiving. It's a small pattern technically, but it is detailed. Like, this is not going to be a quick stitch. So I'm stitching it, it's charted in DMC. So I'm stitching it on 40 count, 1/2. This is a platinum 40 count. I lost the tag, I just know it's platinum. And so pretty much, so the cardinals are done, the little heart is done. So I just need to do everything else. I'm happy with it. It's just, it's going to take a while. And this is also one of those things, is like I'm stitching it because it's the kind of thing that I know my Nana will really like. This isn't necessarily the sort of pattern that I would choose to stitch for myself. But it is, it is cute. So those birds, I mean, there's a lot of color changes in the birds, but it's so worth it. So that is another thing I have been working on. I actually started the leaves last night. How long am I going to work on that? I don't know. It's like, it was nearby, and in lieu of starting something else, not knowing what I wanted to start, I decided to work on this. Okay. That is the stitching that I have been doing. Misty at Luminous Fiber Arts has this thing she does where, as kind of a form of self-care, she has this thing where she'll take a day on the weekend and she'll have what she calls a crafty free-for-all, where she can work on any, lately for her it's been cross-stitch, but any crafty project that just makes her happy. No obligations, don't worry about work, don't worry about school. Just take some time, have a crafty free-for-all, either for a morning or all day or a couple of hours, whatever, and just do what makes you happy. Work on what makes you happy, what you want to work on. no obligations. And I thought, well, that sounds like fun. And I'm an early bird. I'm not as much of an early bird as some people, but I like to be up and walking around at 6 a.m. And that generally gives me a couple to 3 hours of just, depending on what day of the week it is, to just be the only one awake. And I can get some nice reflective time in. I can sit facing my backyard, and if I'm lucky, like really early, I'll see deer. The other week I saw a fox just kind of strolling through like, you think Philly is an urban area, and it is, but we have wildlife. And because we have Fairmount Park, which is huge. And there's wildlife. Also, there is a red-tailed hawk in my neighborhood, and I've seen her once, but I hear her just about every morning. And that's really cool. So that's kind of a nice way to sort of start the day off in general. And I thought that taking a Saturday and just trying the Crafty Free-for-All thing would be nice. And I did it. I did it once. I'd like to do it again. But I was only somewhat successful. And I say that I was only somewhat successful because the craft I chose to do was not stitching or knitting. It was, in fact, sewing. I am not a sewer. Or I should say, I'm not a very good sewer. I'm actually kind of a crappy sewer, but I want to get better. There is a website. I forget, what is the owner's name? It's nevernotKnitting.com, but the website's title is Never Not Knitting and Sometimes Sewing. And she sells some little sewing kits, and Misty of Luminous Fiber Arts had bought a sewing kit that was this adorable hedgehog pincushion. And I thought, oh, I could do something like that. And so I went to the website and I saw, yes, they do still have that adorable hedgehog pincushion, but they also have this equally adorable bird pincushion. For someone who generally only sews straight lines, and straight is relative, this was ambitious or stupid, depending on how generous you're feeling or how generous I'm feeling. But I got it and I was so excited. So excited. So it comes in this little box. I opened it and it comes with the fabric. It comes with the pattern template. It comes with stuffing. I still have quite a bit of stuffing left. A wooden disc to serve as the base. A piece of felt to whip stitch over the bottom once you're done. A sewing needle and these pins to go in the back. And I just want to talk about the sewing needle that they send, by the way, because this thing is awesome. And I never thought I would be the type of person to geek out over a sewing needle, but when you think about it, it's really not surprising. This thing is massive. It's got a really nice point. It's hefty. For hand sewing, this thing is awesome. Like, this is the bomb. It is my favorite. It is now living on my manatee pincushion that Brittany from Ingleside Imaginarium made me. It lives right there. Manatee still does not have a name, but I love it so much. So they send you that. They also send you some embroidery floss that looks kind of like DMC 3371, but I don't know. If I had to guess, that's what it is, because you satin stitch the bird's eye. So that was going to be my crafty free-for-all. I was going to work on this pincushion, and it was going to be awesome. That's what I told myself. It was not awesome. It was fun until I screwed up. And then it went in the timeout box, and then I finally finished it because I knew that if I just left it in the timeout box, I would never look at it again, and I would have not finished it, and it would have just been a waste of money, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to show you how it turned out, with the caveat that I've never done this before, and please be kind. And we'll go through all the things that are wrong with it. See that? Shouldn't be there. Not stuffed well enough, I guess. Yeah, that. What the hell is that? It's supposed to be round. The tail's kind of jutting off to that side. It should be straight back. Oh yeah, the wings are uneven. Yeah, you can tell there. Wings are uneven. Oh, you want to see the bottom? The bottom looks like a hot mess. This is entirely user error. I really enjoyed the pattern. I'm actually keeping the pattern because I wouldn't mind trying it again. One day, perhaps. So, good things. I'm actually rather pleased by the eyes. They're not perfect, but they're kind of wobby, in a kind of wabi-sabi way, and so I'm not mad at that. I was happy with the wings. Now, on the photo, it looks like they have been zigged. So what you do is you, there's iron-on adhesive between the wing and the main body fabric. So you cut out the wing and the adhesive, and then you iron it onto the fabric, and then on the photo it looks like there was very tiny zigzag stitch via the sewing machine around the side, and I did not like that was going to be a disaster. So what I opted to do was take some ecru DMC and just blanket stitch, which I think gave a nice effect. Getting the tail was fiddly. It was little, but actually making this bit turned out okay until I actually had to attach it to the body. Things really went downhill when I actually assembled, did the main chunk of the sewing, like right there. Josh has been telling me that it looks fine, and it actually looks like the bird has a little crest, and we have an extended family of cardinals that live in our yard, and so that is kind of a nice thought, but I really wanted it to look like the picture. And I have no idea how I managed to not get the wings to line up correctly. If I had to do it over again, the stuffing, what I would do is I would stuff probably at least the first third with crushed walnut shells really well, and then put the batting in the bottom. Because I just couldn't, I don't know. This isn't full enough, but I don't, like, I felt like I just couldn't add more, like physically it wasn't possible. Oh, what else? Yeah, it just isn't very good. But I did it, and it wasn't intended to be a gift for anyone. It was just something I wanted to do for me, because sewing sounds fun. And actually I'm gonna touch my eyes because I don't follow directions. There are other sewing patterns on this website that I want to do. Like there's a little, it's perfect size for a project bag, but I might actually use it as a bag, but I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah. So this was like alternately a fun exercise, and it's also really disappointing, and I'm still kind of sad looking at it. But hey ho. You live, you learn. It was a learning experience. That is absolutely for sure. Knitting. So I finished the Sylvatica cowl designed by Ann P. over at Willy Wonka Fibers. And I blocked it. Blocking is magic. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. This is probably going to go in a gift box of some sort. Woohoo! So you could wear it like this. You could probably even, like, if you live someplace super cold, you know, put it up like that. Have your coat around you, all cozy. That is it. In Woolly Wonka Fibers, do I have the tag? Yes, I do. Nimue sock, which is 50% silk, 50% superwash merino, in the colorway Grey Goose. It was super fun, and I would highly recommend it. I also have been working on the Jangle socks. The Jangle socks ran into a problem. Here's the one I finished. It's not on the blocker, but here's the one I finished. And you will note that the ribbing of the leg stops here at the top of the foot. And right here is where you start doing the increases and then decreases for shaping the heel, with just a couple of bits of ribbing following down the side of the foot. When I was stitching the second one, I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking, but I stopped and I looked at it, and so I had about this much done of the sock, and there was ribbing all the way down here. And I posted about it on Instagram, and both Orietta and Anne both said, hey, fraternal socks, it's no big deal. And if these were for me, I absolutely would have just gotten over it and finished them and called it a day. However, these are for Amelia. And so I had a discussion with her about it, and she really indicated to me that she, on one hand, she did not want to make my life hard, but on the other hand, she really wanted matching socks. So I've ripped back. Kind of in timeout. Those are the Jangle Socks by Lori Law. I am knitting it with some sock yarn from I Feel Like Dying. The colorway is Blueberry Scone. I love it. You should go to her Etsy shop and support her right now. Another thing that is mostly finished that I started that you have not seen, friends of mine announced a couple of months ago that they are expecting their first child. And I thought, well, I'm in nursing school and 40 weeks is a long time, about how long it takes to grow a human, between 40 and 41 weeks. I'll be fine. And then last week, my friend posted a picture of her bump. and something inside me snapped. Like, oh my goodness, 40 weeks is not an indefinite period of time that just stretches on and on and on and on and on just because Julia is in nursing school and doesn't have time and does not want time to continue on for the rest of the world. So I was like, I have to get at least something banged out. This still needs buttons. Buttons are coming in the mail. I am stitching this baby vest that has a stray piece of yarn that needs to be tucked in. Pardon me while I do that. There we go. I knit this when I was pregnant with my kiddo. It's called the Pebble. It's called Pebble. It's a free pattern. The pattern itself is written in kind of a sexist way because it's supposed to be a manly sweater for a little boy, and I think that's bullshit. My friends are having they say a girl. I mean, obviously, the little one will have to come out and tell us what their gender is. But this is an itsy bitsy little sweater vest, and what's interesting about the way it's constructed is that it's a newborn sweater, so vest rather. So you knit it flat and then Kitchener stitch one side of the armhole so you can lay it flat, put your baby on top of it, put one arm through the armhole, and then just fold this over. And there are going to be buttons here and buttons along the side. This is the front. Which is pretty ingenious, I have to say, especially when you're sleep deprived. So I knit this with Willy Wonka Fibers, Aislinn DK, in the colorway House Elf. I think it's a nice gender neutral color. The buttons are monkeys. So hopefully I will have time to show this to you before it gets popped in the mail. I would also like to knit a couple of other things, but we'll see how that goes. I tried casting on a couple of sweaters and had some gauge issues, so we're just gonna see. We're gonna watch, wait, and see. But that was really quick. Like, I knit this up in less than 24 hours. Because newborns are little. Okay. I'm taking this off because I'm hot. This yarn is so soft, guys. If you haven't tried Nimue sock, you need to. All right, let's check the list. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. That brings us into what am I gonna do now? I have some stitching things that I would like to start, and I mentioned the bag, which I will link below. I think it's the Go, no, it's not the Go Anywhere bag. That's a different bag. I don't remember. I'll post it below. I would really like to stitch that, to sew that, but I'm kind of gun shy. There are some patterns I'm considering starting, or at least patterns that I have bought that I would like to start at some point soon. I've learned over the past 6 months, a year, I've learned some things about myself as a stitcher in particular. That is, I tend to, at least lately, prefer more prim and sampler style patterns in general. And a lot of my stash does not reflect that. Hence why I had the big D stash a while ago. Also, This is just kind of a weird thing. I have discovered I don't really like stitching with more than one thread. It's uncomfortable. I don't like the way my stitches look a lot of the time if I'm not stitching with one thread, and I know that I could solve that problem if I used a laying tool and railroaded my stitches, but frankly, I am too lazy to do either of those things. And I generally am also finding, related to that, that I prefer 36 count and up. I have only stitched with 36 and 40 count. I'm kind of thinking I might like to get a couple of really higher count fabrics, like 46 and like 50 some, just like small bits just to try. But, you know, we'll see. So that's thing one. Thing two is, what is thing two? I think that was thing two, never mind. Not enough coffee today. So I'm turning 38 at the end of next month. Not exactly a milestone birthday, but it feels very, like a very grown-up number. Having said that, I can totally imagine myself in 10 years saying, I'm turning 48 next month. That feels like a very grown-up number. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if I'm cut out for that. And I don't know if I want to have a birthday start. I ended up not starting City Stitcher Starry Night Sampler like I said I was going to, because I was looking at it and I remembered that Garrett Coffee Stitcher and I were going to start that together, and we haven't actualized that because we were both kind of trying to figure out how we were each going to do a conversion with it, because we didn't necessarily want to stitch it in the charted DMC, and there was a picking out fabric and picking out floss, and then I decided that I'm going to do a Carl Sagan theme, and I don't know if Garrett even remembers or has space on his stitching schedule for it, so I'm tabling that for the short term at least. I have some things I want to start. I don't know if they're birthday starts, but I have some things that I want to start. The one that's at like the top of my list, is this pattern from Not Forgotten Farm called Melancholy. And it really speaks to me because of the way my depression works. If I don't feel that I'm being productive in some way, my depression gets worse. And this says, industry is the best cure for melancholy. This totally just speaks to my heart and speaks to my lived experience, and I really want to do it. And I'm going to contradict myself by saying the fabric I have that I think it would work on is a piece of brown 32 count. Oh well. Now, I know a couple of people on Instagram also have this in their stash. I don't know if anyone else wants to stitch it with me. If we want to have an impromptu sal sometime in June, we can. I don't know. But this is near the top of my to be stitched list. And it shouldn't take very long. And there are only 4 colors. Another thing, and this is also from Not Forgotten Farm. The picture on this, the front of this chart is really terrible. But if you follow Emily at Eclectic Possessions, she stitched this last year. It's the Witch's Garden Sampler. Yeah, you can't really. Yeah, It's got the names of some herbs. It's got a really funky, morbid verse and it's got a little bird and a lady in a coffin and some tombstones and a little snake here. And I just love it, which I'm thinking of stitching this on over 1 on 25 count because I have a few pieces of that. And I was thinking of maybe doing a real, just doing a real quick Dunkin' coffee. Just to kind of jank it up a little bit. Because it's kind of a large pattern and it's charted for 40 count. So I'm thinking I'd rather stitch it over 1 on 25 count, just make it a little bit smaller. Check out Emily C's Instagram if you want to see what she did with it and get a better sense of what the chart actually looks like. And then for Hanukkah, this is an incomplete set. I'm thinking for my birthday and Hanukkah this year, I'll be able to complete it. It's the Blackbird Designs Garden Club series. And between Josh and my mother-in-law, I got the first 4 charts in the series. And I can't decide if I want to stitch them individually or on one piece of fabric, and that's the only thing that's really giving me pause because I really love this berries in a basket, or basket of cherries rather. Number 2 is also pretty cool. Apple orchard. I love all of them. This is really cool because it's like stitched onto the model stitched on 2 pieces of fabric that have been sewn together, kind of like oh, you know that market release with all the baskets of cherries? You know what I'm talking about. And then finally, number 4 is Sweet Home. So, also things that I'd like to start, but I really have, this is just me kind of like brain dumping at you out loud. So I also want to put in a significant chunk of time onto the gamer. I'm thinking I might pull that out and just like 30 minutes a day, more if I'm feeling it, you know, just set a timer, 30 minutes, tuck it away for the rest of the day, move on. That, I think, is it. That's it. So, what are your thoughts? What should I do for my birthday? It's not until, it's like June 30th. It is like the last day of June, like the 11th hour at the end of the month. Should I stitch this, or some of these, or all of these, or literally everything in my stash? Birthday starts like on the day are often kind of tenuous for me because I like to actually do stuff. Like generally we go for a long hike on my birthday, or a bike ride or something, because I like being outside and I really like hiking, or I'll go for a run. Although running really isn't a family-friendly activity, at least not for my family. We all have different paces and it's just not, it's not fun. Okay. Thank you so much for spending some time to hang out with me today. This is a kind of longer video than normal. I hope you're well. I hope you're staying well. I hope you're being safe. May we hold George Lloyd's family close to our hearts and be better citizens. Catch you around the internet, folks.